along with the new swims that I've built, up on the top lake there was 21 swims, I think, on that top lake. It's a 3-acre lake, but 21 swims is ridiculous. So what I did, every other swim we took out. So I made it like a social area between the two swims. You can put a bench there. So two friends fishing either side of that social area, which was an original swim. They can congregate there, have a picnic, whatever they want to do, have a cook up in the mornings, and then they're not too far away from their swim and their rods. So that was another thing I've done. So I reduced the number of swims down from, I think, 21 to 15. 15 still a little bit crowded, but if people are only using 2 rods and they want 4 or 5 of them together, then they can use those swims. If they're using 3 rods, I normally only book out 12 or 13 of those swims, and that's a full lake in my eyes. So as well as the electric, another little perk that I wanted to introduce to Churchgate was Wi-Fi. Now the reason I did that, we're very lucky that the previous owners had, it's called FTP, fibre to property. So we had actual fibre coming straight into the property with a gig of speed, which is ridiculous. It's a company called Bitbarn, really, really good company, and their service, like I said, is incredible, and the speeds are amazing. So they actually helped me cable the top lake, and then we've actually got Wi-Fi on the lake. And again, with COVID, I go back to COVID all the time because that's where this journey started. Where people couldn't go into work and they were working from home, I thought, why not give them an office on the bank? If they've got electric, they've got Wi-Fi, they've got a nice flat area that's clean, they can work here. They can be paying me for the office space, if you like, or the fishing session, and they can carry on working. So they've got the best of both worlds. So that was really popular as we rolled that out with the Wi-Fi, and people were coming down. If they were working remotely, they could work, obviously in the summer, on the bank, which worked out really well. And by this point, the what I call people call them noddies, but these anglers that were only buying fishing equipment to get out of the house after COVID, they sort of dwindled. They went back to work, they went back to their other sports that they were allowed to do, and then we had the proper anglers back here fishing. So we carried on. We spent 2-3 years building every single swim, reducing the numbers down where we needed to. We went from 55 swims on the fishery to 37, one of them being a big double VIP, which you'll be able to see. And that was a little, it was probably a bit overkill. I spent too much money building it, but it's a lovely little hut. You can't sleep in it, but it's got fridge, freezer, microwave, kettle, toaster, a nice rustic scaffold board shelf that you can do your rigs on in the dry and stuff like that. But that was another little idea that I had to give you a little bit of VIP treatment. And throughout, we're actually going to be doing another hut on the middle lake here, which you can sleep in. So we're going to trial that, see how that goes. I'll make it a little bit more basic. Jack's going to actually design it for me. So Jack has been with me, like I said, I've not even mentioned him yet because just a Saturday boy when I took it over. Been fishing for 10 years, since like 4 years old, and yeah, he's been a great help. So as a little bit of in his honour, if you like, he's going to design the hut that we're going to have on the middle lakes behind swim 9, and we're going to call it Jack's Place. So little touch that I wanted to do for him, to say thank you for his loyalty, his devotion and his hard work for me, and teaching me how to fish, teaching me about what it takes to run a fishery and all of those other bits and pieces. So that's to come. But again, it's all about making this place a great experience. We put security gates on the door so that it's safe and secure. And as soon as you come through those gates, I want my anglers, my members, to leave their cares and their worries at the door. I know it sounds corny, but it's true. Mental health is a big thing, and fishing is being prescribed by the professional medical profession, if you like. for mental health. So I like the thought of leaving all your troubles at the gate. It locks behind you. You come here, you forget about everything, turn your phones off and just enjoy the environment that we're creating here. And then when you go, I want you to be itching to come back. And that's the whole point, that's the whole ethos of what we're doing, why we're doing it. And hopefully, hopefully we have, I know that we've got a lot of members that love that, feel that way, and just can't wait to get back. So another introduction, which actually happened quite early on in my ownership, was the aeration. There was a couple of spray fountains that produced oxygen for the fish, but they were a snag because obviously a fish could take an angler around that fountain and therefore snap them off or get snagged up. So I spoke to, actually it's a guy called Kevin who owns Mainline Baits. He gave me a lot of advice and pointed me in the right direction of a lot of people, and I owe him a big thanks for that. And there was a lady called Bernice, she's retired now, but she used to do a lot of the water testing and stuff like that. So we got her down to test the water and to tell me if there's anything I needed to do to improve the quality. Because what people say is if I look after the water, then the fish can look after themselves. If they've got clean and healthy water, that's all that matters. So oxygen is obviously what they use to live, and it was a very, very important part of a fishery's existence. So she suggested that we get this compressor system. So each of this actual lake, the compressor's on the bank, but the other two lakes, they've got an island, the compressor sits on that island, and then it's got a manifold that runs around the island, and then teeing off that manifold is sink hose, which is like heavy rubber hose. That goes down to a diffuser, which is about this long, and it's about that round, and it's full of stones. The air comes from the compressor around the manifold, down the sink hose, and diffuses out of the diffuser, if you like, and produces the oxygen. And we run that more or less all the time. And there's 8 diffusers on each lake, and it has absolutely been a game changer. When you've got really hot summers and really low oxygen, you hear of oxygen crashes, you hear of other fisheries and lakes and club waters losing all their fish. That's not happened to me purely, I think, because of that aeration and those diffuser systems, which one of the best things I ever did here. So as well as the aeration, the most important thing that a fishery needs, other than fish, is water. And in the summer, these lakes have got a lot of trees around them. Trees drink water. Willows are ridiculous. I've cut back a lot of the willows, just trimmed them back, like taking one trunk off, 2 trunks maybe. I think they're lovely, beautiful trees, but I think I heard once that a decent sized willow tree drinks 50 gallons of water a day, which has got to come out of the lake or the rain. So in the summer, all around Essex, especially because it's a dry region of the country, the lakes were dropping 1, 2, even 3 foot in depth, which I think was unsafe for the angler, but also unsafe for the fish because they've got less room to move around, less water with oxygen. So the only way, it's not spring fed, we're on top of a hill, other than rain, there's no other way of filling these up. So I started investigating ways that I can get water into the lakes to maintain the levels, maintain the health of the fish and the safety for the anglers. I came across Nichols Boreholes Limited, I think is the name of them. Great company to deal with. I've actually used them twice now. So we put a borehole in on the top lake. That produced 11,000 litres, or cube they call it, in a 24-hour period, which was great. It's about 20 times what a normal householder would use. It's definitely 11,000 litres more than I was getting originally, but that was a £36,000 expense, and it wasn't really enough for the 3 lakes. So a year or 18 months later, I went back to them again. I said, look, I need another one. We need to maybe go deeper. That was 230 metres down, but it was up the top of the hill. So we came down, we dug another one. We went 255 metres this time. This is down into the the chalk and the flint right down deep into the ground. It's not water table, because water table is seawater with salt. This is like underwater rivers and aquifers and things like that. So we've tapped into that, and they went down 255 metres. We put a bigger pump, and we managed to produce a lot more water. There's a limit of 20,000 litres a day, otherwise you need to get a licence, but that was adequate for what we need to maintain the water levels and the health of the fish, and again the safety of the anglers. Best money I ever spent, £75,000 to get both of those boreholes. But when you think about that over a 20 span period, it makes it a little bit cheaper. And obviously there's no water rates on that, because you've paid for that and you're using under the 20,000 litres a day. So definitely one of the best investments I made, and it's like having a restaurant with no kitchen. You couldn't run the business. A fishery with no water, same situation. So definitely one of the best decisions I made since owning this place. The only other thing that I wanted to do to try and compete with France, if you like, because of this French fishing in Essex, which was my slogan, because everyone said, oh yeah, I normally go to France, but I can't because of COVID. So I started saying, well, what's so special about France? Other than the big fish, because they've got a warmer climate. We get electric in our swims, we get this sort of buggy service maybe and stuff like that. So that's why I'm trying to give you that French experience without having to travel 5 to 10 hours, if you like, to get to the lake and then back again. So other than that is the size of the fish, like I said. So I needed to improve the size of the fish. Before we could do that, we needed to know what fish were in there. I bought this fishery just on the say-so that there was X amount of fish in the lake. And I never knew really what was in there. So we had to net the lakes, seine netting they call it, where you trawl a net round, bunch all the fish up, and then you can grade them, go through them. And we've done videos on them, you'll see them on our channel. And again, it's so interesting to see what you've got, managing the biomass. Again, it's another thing that I've learned since owning this fishery. And the more room that a fish has got to grow, the bigger it will grow. So obviously we need to reduce the number of fish so that those fish that we leave in the lake have got more room to grow, and obviously get a feeding plan in progress. Obviously you've got the anglers putting bait in themselves, but it's always good to top that up if the lakes are quiet, or in the summer months when they are really feeding, the anglers aren't putting enough in, and we can do that ourselves. And I'm investing in that with pellet, which we actually sell in the shop as well. So we feed them with a pellet and sell that same pellet, so the anglers can use a pellet that the fish know and love. So on top of that, the feeding program, and then the biomass management. So we've netted every single year. To start with, I never used to drop the water levels down. Now with the boreholes here, I've dropped the water levels down. We've got more chance of getting a bigger percentage of the fish, and we've reduced the bottom lake and this middle lake. The middle lake had about 200 fish in it, and cats. There's cats in here as well. We've reduced that this time down to 100 carp. We took 500 pounds in weight of cats out. So we reduced the biomass of this middle lake by half in the carp. We took everything that's small out, everything that's old. If there was a carp that was old, quite small, maybe it had a damaged mouth, we took them all out so that the crop of fish that are in here are young, fresh, they're going to grow, they've got the chance of becoming 20s, 30s and 40s and maybe even a 50. That's the bullseye figure that I'd like to get to with one fish at this fishery. That will be my long-term goal, and I'm going to do my best to achieve that. So the only way we could do that is obviously having less fish. So there's 100 in this middle lake, it's about 3 acres. If I'm really honest with you, once they start getting bigger, I'll reduce that down even more. So the smallest fish you will be able to catch will probably be a 20 one day, and then there'll be untold amount of 30s, and then 40s, and maybe that golden 50. So that's what we did. We did that on the bottom lake as well, and then we get the feeding program going, and we start seeing those fish growing, PBs being smashed time and time again, and all of our members being as happy as a sandboy.